In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your rear outside door handle. Now with that said, to remove the outside door handle, we're going to have to remove the entire inside door panel. Let's start up by the inside door handle. Behind the door handle, you're going to find that you have a plastic door. We're going to have to take that out. That's going to be easiest using a small screwdriver or a pick. We'll carefully get underneath the ridge and gently pry it out. Before you take anything apart, make sure your window is in the fully upright position. Once you have it out of there, just give it a quick inspection. We'll set that aside. Now if you were to look down underneath the handle, you're going to find a Phillips head screw. Go ahead and remove it. Now let's move down to this area. This is going to be the area that houses your window switch and or your door lock switch, depending on which door you're working on. We're going to try to remove this panel. Once we have it off of there, we're going to be looking for some wiring harnesses. To remove the panel, we'll continue with our small flat blade screwdriver. Gently squeeze it in between this area and start to separate it. Once it's separated, continue on with a plastic trim tool so you don't damage your door panel. Once you have it broken free, pull it towards the rear of the door. You'll notice that there's a hook along the forward aspect. Now that we have it off of there, continue on to the wiring. On this particular door, we only have one wiring harness. For that wiring harness, you're going to want to try to find your plastic squeeze tab. Go ahead and squeeze that tab and separate the wiring. Once you have it off, give it a quick check for corrosion. That looks good. Set this aside. With that out of the way, continue on to your two 10mm headed screws. You'll find one out in the open. The other one's going to be down here, deep inside that hole. So not only do you need a 10mm, but it'll also be handy to have a magnet. Once you have all your mounting hardware out of there, continue on with your plastic trim tool. We're going to start removing the panel from the door. Now when we do this, you're going to find that there's a whole bunch of push clips that go from the panel into the door. So we'll use our trim tool, come along the edge, and down along the bottom, you're going to find where there's a groove you can fit it right in there. Once you have it in, carefully try prying this without breaking the door panel. Once you have it pop free, we're going to carefully lift this up, but keep in mind, you do still have to release things from the back of the door panel. Now as I spin this, you'll notice that the handle came out of place. That's fine. Now we can remove the door panel. Once the door panel's out of the way, continue on to this wiring harness. Right along the top of the wiring harness, you're going to find that there's a squeeze tab. You can gently press on that and then remove the wiring harness. Quick inspection for corrosion, and set that aside. Now we can start removing our vapor barrier. As I'm pulling it down, pay attention to all this black stuff right here. This is called butyl tape. It's extremely sticky, and if it gets on your clothes, it's gonna ruin them. We'll just pull that aside just far enough that we can reach inside as needed. The next thing we want to do is remove our three T30 screws that hold our door latch in place. Once you have all three of those out of there, we're going to continue on by carefully bringing the latch down and out of our way. With that latch assembly pressed down, look inside this slot. You're going to find another T30 Torx screw. Remove it. Let's make our way outside of the door. We're going to continue by removing this area right here. With that out of the way, grab onto the rest of the door handle. We're going to slide it this direction, essentially lining it up with here, and then you can pull it straight out of the door. There it is, friends. Now it's going to be time to install your door handle. When you take this, you're going to want to make sure you take each of these ends and line them up with the largest holes on either side. Once it's lined up, you should be able to press it straight in. Once it's in there, take that handle and pull it forward. Now it's time to put in our locking corner piece. We'll take this and slide it into position. From back inside the door, let's continue with our T30 Torx bit. We'll come right in through the latch hole, start in that mounting bolt, and make sure it's nice and snug. Reach inside the door, grab that latch. We're going to start putting it back in place. There's 3 areas that you want to pay attention to. You have this area with all 3 of your bolt holes. You want to make sure it matches up. This area right here with your child lock switch, and right over here for your wiring harness. Once you have all 3 of those areas lined up and in place, continue on with your 3 T30 Torx screws and snug them up. Now what I want to do is hold the latch in this position. I'm going to take a peek inside the door, and what I'm looking for is a blue hook that slides over a metallic rod. We need to make sure that everything lines up. The rod needs to be right inside that hook. If it isn't, go ahead and wiggle it around until it is. After that, you can bolt in the latch. Before we continue on by putting anything else back together, we need to make sure that we test the functionality of our outside door handle in comparison to the latch itself. To do this, you're going to want to use some sort of rod or even a Phillips head screwdriver. We're going to put it in through the latch right here, essentially pretending that we're the striker that's part of the body of the vehicle. At this point, the latch thinks that the door is shut. I'm trying to force the latch open. It doesn't want to open. I'll grab onto that outside door handle, give it a little tug, and make sure that it releases. If it doesn't seem like it functions properly, you're going to want to make sure that you clearly look inside the door and figure out exactly what's going on. Assuming it did function properly, continue on putting on the door panel. We'll take that wiring harness, put it through the vapor barrier. Reattach your vapor barrier in its original position. Continue on to your wiring harness. You want to make sure you have that squeeze tab facing up. Okay, so now it's time to put on the inside door panel. Before I put it in position, I want to talk to you about the back side. We have all those push clips that make their way all the way around the door panel. It's important to mention, make sure they're all there. Also, on the door panel, where that inside door handle is, on the top and the bottom, you're going to find you have 2 areas for the door handle to slide into. Pay attention to those. Let's get ready to put this in position. I'm going to take that inside door handle and slide it in. Once I have it in there, I'll make sure that it latches in properly. There we are. Now I'm going to take the door panel. I'm going to have to lift it up nice and high. The reason is because on the inside of the door panel, it has a ridge that goes up and over the door itself. Once I get it up and over that, I'll carefully slide it down, line up those push pins, and then lock it in. There we are. I have it pressed down as far as possible. Look along the edge of the door panel. We're trying to line up those push clips. Once you feel as though you have them all lined up, give it a loving bonk. Now we can start putting in our mounting bolts. I'll start with this top one. I'm only going to start it in a couple threads. Once that one's in there, continue on to the lower one. That one's tight. Tight as well. Now we can do our Phillips head screw that goes below that inside door handle. Time to resecure the window switch. Let's start with the wiring harness. Give it a tug, make sure it's secure. Now we're going to start putting the panel on. You remember, along the forward aspect, there's that hook that needs to slide underneath the panel. So as we bring it in, we're going to slide that in first. Once it's lined up, press it down into the locked position. Time for our last plastic panel. This one goes behind the inside door handle.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.